you know.
When did you start improv?
Long time ago now. I mean, I
Yeah,
started
if you're teaching, that makes sense.
when I was 18, so I'm 33 now, so 15 years.
Damn, dude, you've been doing it for 15 years straight.
It's been a long time. Most people stopped from when I started.
I'm guessing you started in high school then. High school?
Freshman year of college.
Freshman year of college.
Yeah.
And were you just were in theater and stumbled into it?
I actually wasn't in theater at all. Basically, I was an engineering major in college. And my freshman year, somebody said, like, there's this improv class for credit. And it's fun, and you meet a lot of people. And so I did that. It was like the first semester I was in college. And then I just kind of never stopped doing it.
Nice, man.
So,
Sounds like you have a real passion for it.
I love it, yeah. I mean, yeah, I love it more than most people, for sure.
I know that feeling. That almost, I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but kind of almost obsessive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you there. I guess you don't know anything about me. Okay, so for whoever is listening, we don't know each other at all.
Yeah, first
at
time
all.
we've ever met.
Thank you for doing that.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Coming to a stranger's apartment.
No problem. It's not the first time.
Yeah, no, I have that same affinity for stand-up comedy.
Mm-hmm.
I did improv for about 10 years.
Uh-huh.
I started in high school and did late college. But I have that same passion for stand-up. Did you do any stand-up at all?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, I've done both, and I'm just getting back into it again very recently, last couple weeks.
Oh, recent.
Yeah, very
Okay.
recent. Yeah.
What inspired that decision?
Well, I think that I think it might be helpful not to talk your ear off about this stuff, but I mean, I guess we're doing a podcast.
It is the point.
So whatever. I think that like when I think about improv and stand up, I think improv is like, a practice of listening to others, not just on stage, but in life in general, like absorbing other people and having kind of a Rolodex of, different behaviors. And then being able to like kind of call those things on command, in a show environment, and then stand up to me is sort of like the practice of like being listened to, and I think like to answer your question, it's just kind of like I don't think that I have interesting opinions that all the time,
Yeah.
I think like for like a good 5 or 6 years, I was like, I don't think I have anything super unique to say. So for right now, I think I'm just going to stick with improv. But I think, we've all been through this traumatic situation, and it's been a really self-reflective time for myself, and I'm sure for everybody else. And I'm just now starting to feel like, what? I think I have something worth saying. And as you know, like, stand-up is a thing that requires a lot of you,
Yeah, like your personality.
Yeah, and also like the commitment to just go out there and grind it out.
Yeah.
And if you're not passionate about what you're saying, it's just not going to sustain you,
Right.
So I'm just now hitting it back.
Do you so you said you started stand up and then I'm guessing you stopped at some point?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, when I started doing improv, I was also starting doing stand up. So when I was like 18, like I was all in, improv, sketch, stand up, and then like I was doing a lot of stand up in college. I did like there was this like competitive college stand-up comedy competition shit. I was like obsessed with that stuff.
Yeah.
And I actually like I won a national stand-up comedy competition.
Nice.
My junior year of college. It totally obviously doesn't matter because no one knows who the fuck I am. But it is a cool thing. And I lived in New York for a little bit, and I did nothing but stand-up for a few months.
So you getting back into it doesn't feel like awkward or anything? Like you feel like you're smoothly getting back into it?
I feel more confident in myself than I ever have, I think like when I was doing it at a younger age, like I think I got the blocking and tackling down, like timing and the technical aspects of stand-up, the writing process, how I can just remember my own bits, how I can just like iterate on the bits, like show after show, writing tags and, and then the hardest thing for me is also overcoming the mental struggles of like, I said the same stuff 5 nights in a row. One day I killed, the next day I eat shit. How do you
figure out like consistency?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this way better, than I do. But yeah, I think like but I didn't have anything to say really. You know, I wasn't having anything interesting to say.
You know, you said that a few times, having something to say, and the quarantine and COVID and all of that. What do you feel like you have to say now? Like, it sounds like some real inspiration has finally kicked in.
Yeah, you know, I think aspects of identity and culture, you know, stuff that you know, I was maybe uncomfortable to talk about or ill-equipped to talk about. Like, I'm a Latino guy. I grew up in Miami. Both my parents are immigrants. My mother's from Panama. My father's from Cuba. You know, and basically, I'm not fluent in Spanish, or I hadn't been fluent in Spanish. And you know, being Latino and not being fluent in Spanish, it's kind of a weird situation, you know, because there's always going to be someone who's like more Latino than you, you know, and you're always going to come off as phony, you know, or sometimes it feels like that.
Yeah, I get that. As a black dude that grew up in the burbs in California, like there could be a disconnect, and it feels, sometimes it feels like I don't know, insecurities can take over, and it feels like you need to earn your right to be a part of the culture or whatever, which is not the case, but it can feel that way. I know what you mean.
Well, there are people who will make you feel that way.
Yeah,
there are people who gatekeep the culture, whatever that culture is that you're trying to get into. You know?
But it's fun. That's so funny because you grew up like that. That feels like you would have something to say at 18. Like, that seems like something to say. So what was it about quarantine that made this switch for you?
Yeah. So I mean, basically, at my worst moments, you know, during the quarantine, it was a time of self-reflection when I thought to myself, like, you know, I was able to take a larger picture view on my life and say, like, what direction am I going? You know, like, am I becoming the person that I want to become? And the answer is no. You know, like, basically, like, you know, I just felt like I was headed into I was turning into a person I didn't even recognize. You know, and I made the conscious decision to, like, invest in my roots. Like, I've been taking Spanish class with this woman in Mexico online for like 9 months, and my Spanish is better than ever. You know, and it's allowed me to build bridges with my family. I have like a lot of comedians, a rocky relationship with my family, you know, and that was like a real huge point of weakness and insecurity and vulnerability. And so that has helped. You know, it's like allowed me to engage with the Latino community more, and that gives me a lot of strength. You know, whereas before it's like I have the experience of like knowing what it is to be Latino, but I don't have the vocabulary, or I don't have the confidence, you know, to engage fully with it.
I know that 100%. And not the Latino part, but the for me, I had been trying to distance myself and escape white people to the best of my. I'm from California, from Riverside, California, which is a desert suburb. A lot of white people, Blue Lives Matter area. And you know, over the years, you know, I was growing out my hair. I was just doing things to just try to get them away from me. And then when quarantine happened and, you know, the protest happened, I was in this bubble of whiteness.
Yes.
And it was horrifying and awful. Yes. And moving out to Chicago, I would say the positives about a segregated place is if I want to go to black people, I'm like, oh, well, I just take the red line down a few stops and I'm by black people. And I know what you mean. If there's this, like, tell me if this is how you've experienced this. In the beginning, it feels kind of awkward, a little almost scary and intimidating. And then as time goes on, there's this comfort that gets developed to the point now where if I'm in a room full of all white people, I know how to navigate it, but I'm not comfortable.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think that like I'm going to say this inarticulately probably, but, you know, there's race, there's ethnicity. These are things that, you know, these are like cold hard facts about who we are, you know, but then there's like our cultural identity, and that can slip, that can go in a particular direction if you're not making conscious decisions, you know? And so like, And so that's what I noticed within myself, you know. It's like if all my friends are white people, if all my like interactions are with white people, if I only date white people, you know, like I just saw that playing out over time, you know. If I don't make the conscious decision to like reaffirm like where I come from and like who I am, like I went to Miami for 3 weeks in Christmas, and like it was like a splash of cold water on the face, like, you know. This is where I come from, you know. This defines so much of like how I view the world, you know. And for me to like not acknowledge that is like just not right, you know.
Yeah, it's almost insulting.
Yeah.
You grew up in Miami? Did you grow up around Latino people?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The thing about Miami, it's kind of like the polar opposite. Sounds like of your situation. It's one of the few places in this country, like big cities in this country, where white people are the minority. And if you are white in Miami, like you're not white in a bubble, you know. You're probably dating Latino people, or your boss is Latino.
They're
you
forced to adapt to
exactly.
you. Yeah.
The default culture is Latino culture there.
Yeah, that must feel amazing.
I mean, yeah, you know, and it took time being away from there to understand how special that is.
Yeah.
Because when I was like a teenager, you know, leaving there, you know, I had like the common teenage angst of like, I'm never coming back here. This place sucks, you know.
Yeah.
But with time and space, you know, I'm able to appreciate what's special about it.
Yeah, I feel you. And you know, when you finally get inducted is not the right word. It's starting to sound like our cultures are cults, but when you get accepted and when you feel comfortable,
yes,
it's so weird how like going around white people can, you see how weird they are. Do you know like they're so alien. Like what's the best? If you do you watch Atlanta?
I haven't. I know that.
Ooh.
I know it's a phenomenal show. And I love Donald Glover, and I should absolutely see it. I haven't seen it.
This is without spoiling it. The show does a really good job at presenting, especially in the third season. The show does a really good job at presenting the subtleties of how weird white people are. Like, I'm going to think on that more because there's more I have to say about it that I've really been fleshing out in myself. Yeah. But you said something this a few times about the direction you were going.
Yes.
Where, pre-COVID, what do you mean? Like, what direction do you think you're going in?
Yeah. So, without getting too personal, I guess, like I was in a committed relationship with a person who is a wonderful person. Okay. You know, but it was, you know, basically. Like at a certain point, you know, when you're with somebody, you know, the question comes like, do you want to like get married? You know, like not everybody wants to do that, but sometimes that's what happens. And I think that like the more I thought about that, you know, the harder I could like see that happening, you know. And I think part of it was like when you marry someone, you marry their family, you know. And I think that like. It was just tough. Yeah. It was just tough to see that happening.
If you don't, was this person white?
Yes.
Yes. I know that game.
And they're wonderful, you know. And it's just like, this isn't me, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I could see how this would play out. I'm gonna start wearing khaki pants and I'm gonna go golfing and I'm gonna eat unseasoned food, you know, and pretend like it's good, you know.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
I could be raising white kids, you know, with like Latino, you know, DNA, but they're gonna
be confused as fuck.
And I know that vibe, and I'm 100% Latino, you know. Yeah. And so.
Yeah. There's I almost think it's child abuse to put a child of color in a predominantly white space. Like that shit is so detrimental.
It's not impossible, but it's really hard. It's really hard.
You gotta constantly, every day, you gotta be like, by the way, in 1826, just so you know what they did. Every year, you have to go by a thing like that white people did to remind them, like these motherfuckers aren't all your friends.
Yes. Yeah. That's more or like without going like too far into it, like. That's more or less the vibe, you know? And it's one of those things where I was so ignorant, you know, before. Like, I hadn't been confronted with that question. I think a more naive version of myself is like, I could date anybody. I could marry anybody, you know? And I guess that's technically true. But there's an aspect of me that is like, and maybe you can relate to this, like, like coming from this like kind of background with like a POC background or like a non-white background, right? Like culture is a super valuable thing, but money can't buy it, and you could lose it. You can absolutely lose it.
Dude, you would love Atlanta. Like, oh my God, you would love Atlanta. Like, okay, the third season, Donald Glover did an interview about this, and he said that the third season, the theme is essentially that white people are cursed. You need as soon as you watch Atlanta, let me know. But that's that. To circle back to improv, I spoke with I talked with Sage, and then who did I talk with before? I'm looking this up right now. I have a terrible memory. My name is Aaron. Dwayne McDaniel. Do you know Dwayne? Mm-mm. So I spoke with them, and I did open stage. I did it once, and when I was there, I was aggressively uncomfortable, and I couldn't put my finger on why. And I think, if I'm to make an assumption, it's just being around. It's just, man, we're gonna really hammer on white people, but man, they're fucking up, killing people and shit. But I think in improv, I think what has pushed me away from it so much, and theater and acting, is that it is white people. Not at their whitest. I think at their whitest is January 6th. But it's white people at their most friendly. It's like they're most friendly and ignorant at the same time, because for them in those spaces it's play and it's fun.
Yes.
And that's good. But you've been in improv like more consistently than me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm getting at?
Yes. I totally know what you're getting at. 100%. I mean, if I could try to maybe get a swing at it, it's folks being, loose on stage and feeling liberated to say whatever's on the top of their head. And I think there's an unspoken default whiteness usually that is there, like in terms of the references, in terms of like the manner of speaking, the cultural touch points. And so but like the thing about whiteness is it's like, it's rarely like described as like white culture, And so it's just kind of like, it just is. Yes.
It's like watching Friends and for 10 seasons.
Yeah.
How the fuck are you in New York and everyone's white? How did that happen?
But like Friends is a white show.
Yeah.
And for the longest time, nobody would describe it as a white show. It's just a show.
It's just a show. Right. And it's like.
That's improv too,
Right. And it's well-meaning. And there's something that is not polarized. There's something that's conflicting about being around that. Because on one end, I'm like, you are free and you're having fun. And I'm so glad this is fun. It's supposed to be communal.
Yeah.
But there's this little thing, there's this itch in me that's like, there's something fucking off.
Yes.
And so when I was there, nobody was treating me poorly. Yeah. It wasn't, I did have a little issue. I was walking to the bathroom and I had two white girls in front of me and they were walking slow as shit. And I'm like, I just want to get to the bathroom. But that hallway where like I can't pass them?
Yeah.
And then
forced interaction.
Yeah. Then they started muttering about how I was following them.
Oh, fuck.
And I was like, bitch, I don't care about you and your rosy cheeks and your fucking stringy hair. Get the fuck out of my way. I'm trying to take a piss. Like the world revolves around them.
Yes.
Everything.
You're a guest in their home. Yes.
Yeah, everywhere.
That is the vibe. Yeah.
And so, when I was around it, when I'm around them, even when they're at their most well-meaning, their sweetest, their most fun-loving selves, there's always this little thing. And I think what's so difficult about it is it's hard to call that out in that space because everyone's having fun.
Right.
So you don't want to be like...
You don't want to be the wet blanket. Yeah.
Right. And so I really need, because that was only one day I went to that. I need to put myself around that more, because I know I'm missing so much more. When I moved here, sorry, I'm going to be asking
Go ahead,
here,
bro, yeah.
When I moved here, I was so hyper fixated on stand-up that I learned about like the North Side stand-up scene and the South Side stand-up scene. And then I kind of stumbled back into improv, and I was like, oh, yeah, this is a whole other art form that is associated with Chicago. Yeah. So I need to talk to improvisers. Yeah. So, what am I saying? The fuck am I talking about? Do you have goals with improv and stand-up? Is it the goal to be like a working comic?
It's a great question. And I think I've wrestled with that for a really long time. I think that earlier in my career, I had aspirations to be like, a working comedian, but ultimately my goal in life is to be happy and fulfilled. And I think that, as far as like my whole identity, being a comedian, being an improviser, being an improv teacher, these are just like aspects of a much larger personhood, or whatever you want to describe it as. And I just think that, at least for me, my experiences, when I put all my eggs in that basket of wanting to be like a professional working comedian, ultimately it's not enough. And there's no like working comedian out there that I look at and I say like, I want their life, or I'm jealous, or like that's my, name any like famous comedian. I can see that they're miserable. Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm playing.
No, but like, I'm only in the game of stand-up comedy to the extent that I want to express myself, and just have, and I like making people laugh, and that's basically the full extent of my expectations in doing it.
That's very healthy. I'm recently hitting that. It seems like we both are similar in our obsessions.
Yeah.
And for years, I was like Have you seen what is the Pixar movie with Jamie Foxx? He becomes a little blob.
Yes, I have seen it. Soul, great.
You know the way they visually show when someone's in the zone versus obsession. Yeah. That, man, Pixar fucking knocks it out of the park.
Nailed it. Yeah.
Very recently have I gotten to this place of like, be a whole person. Yeah. Especially in stand-up, where we were talking about you need something to say. Yes. You have nothing to say if you're not living.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Getting heartbroken, or getting some wins in life, and
have other hobbies.
Yes. 100%.
Do things.
100%.
I'm recently. I'm gonna write this down because I don't want to incriminate you. Give me 1 second. Okay.
Yeah, I've done it.
Do you feel comfortable speaking on that?
Sure. Okay, I could talk a lot about it. Yeah.
So I had a moment. My most recent trip. It's something I've done in the past. My most recent trip was last week. And you ever have, I feel like shroom trips are the fun ones, and the happy, enjoyable ones mean like, oh, you're on the right track. Just keep doing what you're doing. Yeah. And then the ones where you're not having fun is like, oh, man, you need to fix some shit and redirect.
Yeah.
And I had one of those.
Oh, man. Those are, rough.
But ultimately, it's kind of come to a more positive place for me. But for you, what have your experience been?
Well, I would say it's kind of, like, as far as, those types of experiences, it's kind of Russian roulette for me. Like, half the time it's wonderful, half the time it's what you described. And I had to stop because I know this sounds so dramatic and like not true, but it really is true. Like the last 2 or 3 times I did it, there'd be a point at the peak of it where I would lose my vision. Where literally, like one of the last times I did it was like on St. Patty's Day. And I was, which is a horrible thing to do. I was out in public with a friend.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I'm crossing the street with my friend, and I'm looking at like oncoming traffic, and the headlight from one of the cars became my entire vision. So all I could see was white light, and I'm crossing the street and I can't see. And I was like, I just can't do this anymore. This is literally physically dangerous,
maybe next time go to a park.
Do stuff that's more chill. Yeah.
For those who don't know, St. Patrick's Day in Chicago, they don't fuck around.
Yeah, it's wild.
As soon as that water turns green, it's all bets are off. It is white dudes out there with their shirts off. I saw some dudes running around. I saw a guy in the middle of the street just jump on a person's car.
Yes.
That's not the vibe you want to be around.
Absolutely not. So maybe I chose the wrong situation person to be on it. Yes, but I think that acid is probably the best experience for me. That's probably my preferred situation.
What is the difference? I've heard that I've only done shrooms. I've never done acid. I don't feel that urge to. What is the difference in feeling?
Well, I would say that for me, acid is a dissociative experience. So like one way I could describe it, I'm just speaking for me, is like, I'll think like, oh, I should jump around now. And it's like I've already been jumping actually for like a few minutes, Yeah, it's like my brain and my body are on two different wavelengths. Obviously, that's dangerous too, to be out in public doing something like that. Whereas mushrooms feels like a more mystical experience. Like there's something spiritual about it, and at times it's really haunting, and can be pretty terrifying for me. I think like if you're a person who has a lot of anxiety, which I do, it could really mess with you, like for extended periods of time. Like I did it like whatever a couple weeks ago, and it's still fucking me up. And that's not all the time like that, but it has that potential to have lasting like fuck with you impacts.
I do know what you mean.
Versus acid never does that, at least for me.
I feel you. I think the reason I've never gone into psychedelics for air quotes fun. I've never done it to be like, let's go party. My whole decision with it has been a spiritual decision.
Yes.
So I think that's why I lean towards shrooms.
Yes.
And that's why, man, dude, I didn't get to go to Temple today. I'm really upset. The bus fucked it up. But regardless, I haven't even talked to you about that. I just said that with no comment. Sorry, I forget that I don't know you. But I guess that's the point of being. Dude, you know who does amazing interviews is John Letterman?
David Letterman?
David Letterman.
Yes,
David, have you seen his show on Netflix?
I have seen some of it. I haven't seen the most recent, but I've seen most of them, yeah.
Dude, wow.
He's improved a lot. Because he used to, he was doing 3-minute interviews,
Yeah.
And he's honestly kind of an asshole.
Oh, is he?
Back then.
Oh, okay.
His vibe was like, like making a joke out of every single moment of everything, I guess he had to.
Right.
But now this Netflix show, he's just interested.
It's very chill.
And curious. Yeah.
You need to watch the one with Will Smith.
Okay. I actually heard it's like somehow, I don't know, haunting or something relative to the recent events.
Yeah. He kind of, I don't want to spoil it too much, but he talks about an experience he had where he kind of inadvertently references the future. And
interesting.
And with a slap and all of that.
Yeah.
And it's wild, man. And Will Smith is such a charismatic and interesting guy.
Yeah.
Speaking of that and interesting people in the arts and everything, do you have other art so you do improv, you're getting back into stand-up. Do you do any other art forms?
I would say like I'm interested in music, but I'm not a musician. I'm interested in music as a source of inspiration for teaching and thinking about improv and stand-up. I'll never be a musician.
Dude, do you know XXXTentacion?
Yeah, I know of that person. Yes.
Have you watched his documentary on Hulu?
No.
Fuck. All right, sorry. I keep throwing all this. The guy who's like, man, have you not seen fucking the new Marvel show, the 27th Marvel show that's now interconnected with the Star Wars show? It's like big so much, but yeah, man. There's an art. I think being an artist, being one of those top tier artists, is being someone that moves people emotionally. And that is such a powerful and dangerous thing.
For sure.
I never thought of art as dangerous or public speaking as dangerous until very recently.
Yeah, what changed your mind?
Trump.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exhibit A. Yeah.
That guy. I was just talking with someone yesterday about that. But that guy, I used to think. Well, you're 33?
Yeah.
Okay. Before Trump, I used to think that the president was a figurehead, which is true, is just kind of represents whatever. But I was always like, yeah, the president doesn't do anything. That's that's Dick Cheney with the strings being a puppet master. And because pre-Trump, you could go months without thinking about who the president. You could forget who the president is.
Literally, yeah.
Then this motherfucker comes in.
My God. And
I didn't realize that the leader dictates the energy.
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
As dumb as George Bush was, he wasn't spastic.
Mm-hmm.
And Obama was chill. Mm-hmm. 8 years of chill. Mm-hmm. And like Trump dictated this crazy energy, and now the genie's out of the bottle.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Yeah.
And I realized how dangerous it was when during the let me try to summarize this because I don't want to be here all day explaining. Basically, I was doing street stand-up a little before the pandemic hits, and then when it opens up, I'm doing street stand-up again. George Floyd gets murdered, and then it goes less stand-up, more protest.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get it. Yeah. We were angry.
I was angry for like 18 months. Yeah. I'm still angry.
And I was, and when that happened, I would go to the more conservative areas, and I would just get my microphone, and I would talk mad shit.
Yeah.
And it got to points where there was half of the people that were there who wanted to kill me, and the other half of the people there that were going to protect me if they tried to kill me. And at any point, I could have said, you guys fuck them up, and they would have done it.
Oh my God.
And I didn't do that, obviously, because you need a sense of control as a performer. There's some responsibility there, but I didn't understand that responsibility.
Well, it's like kindling, it's like shit is ready to pop off at a moment's notice. People are looking for an excuse to get at each other, it's...
Do you feel that when you're on stage? Do you feel that control? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I do think I don't know if you can relate to this idea. I was thinking recently about how whether you're doing improv or stand up, so much of what you're actually doing is kind of like riding the waves of the audience. It's like the audience is like a beach or something, and there's there's natural waves coming on, and some beaches are chill and some are like tsunamis. And so each audience is like a test of like your skill as like a surfer or whatever. I don't know. Maybe there's a better analogy, but
I actually think that's a great analogy. You're the guy people are paying attention to riding the waves, but you got to respect those waves.
Yes.
Because if you don't, it'll fuck you up.
Yes. And your ability to leverage, like situations like I might see you perform all the time, but it's only in one type of room, and then you perform in an audience like in front of like 2,000 people or something. And that might be like a totally new environment for you, or maybe not. And so like that's something that you can kind of tell like a more novice like performer from someone who's like more experienced is like can they understand when the laughs are gonna stop and start, and can they time it just right so that they build momentum, all that kind of stuff. Like that's something completely different from just the material and the writing,
I really want to see your stand-up. I'm very curious. Do you have a preference? Do you prefer stand-up or improv?
I think it just depends on my mood, and how I'm and how I'm feeling at that time, and also who I'm performing with, Like there's certain people that I love improvising with, It's,
do you have like a troupe?
I'm in a few groups. I perform every Thursday at LSI. And with the owners of that theater, and they're just awesome folks. And sometimes we throw some other people together.
Where's LSI?
It's on Diversity in California.
Okay, it's like in east of here?
Yeah,
okay.
And north, yeah.
East, north, okay. And if you don't, because I do need to find more improvisers. Is there anybody you think would enjoy doing this?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. You should definitely meet Jordan Stafford if you haven't. He does stuff at Second City and around town. He's probably the best improviser in town, honestly.
Ooh, Jordan Stafford.
Yeah. Yes.
Live up to your name, sir.
He's hilarious and a good buddy. Tremaine Alston. He's someone who recently. One of my hobbies is cooking or learning how to cook. He's Jamaican or of Jamaican heritage, and we have another friend Felicia who's also Jamaican. And when I was in Miami, I ate a lot of Jamaican food, and I was like, God damn, I need to learn how to cook this.
Yeah,
shit, this rocks, And so anyway, I had them over at my place, and we made like a Jamaican curry goat in my place and drank beers on my porch. So anyway, they're good buddies, and they're hilarious, and they've been at this for forever. And I think Tremaine's done stand up before, and he's from New York. Yeah.
When you say Jordan Stafford was the guy, so when you say he's like a great improviser, what do you think makes? Because I could describe comics out here where I'm like, God damn, I can't touch these guys. And I could describe what makes them good comics, but what makes a good improviser? Because it's such a collaborative thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think his skill and his talent is evergreen, you know? Like I'm not the same way. Like I need like the proper moisture and sunlight, you know, and encouragement, you know, to have a good show. I'm not consistently good. I think I'm a better teacher than I am a performer. But like Jordan Stafford, like without a doubt, like every single time I see this dude perform, I'm like, he's a genius. You know, you could put him with anybody, and he's effortlessly entertaining. And I think I talked about this idea of like a Rolodex of like personalities, you know, like a library of like, you know, humanity that you could just call on and then like switch at a moment's notice. And this dude, he's just seen so many crazy people in his life, clearly. Like,
got a lot to pull from.
Exactly, you know. That's like the common thing every time I see him is like, where is he pulling these people from? It's so crazy.
Like he's a good character actor.
Yes, and he's an incredible actor. An incredible actor, fully committed in every scene, you know, and an incredible listener, very empathetic.
Yeah, I'm definitely hitting this guy up.
Yeah, he's incredible. You got to see him.
You said a word there that I think is so important, and you said effortless. I was at, I'm bring up Temple again. I was there, and we were doing our meditations or whatever, and then afterwards, the shaman, monk, I don't know what the fuck you call him, the guy in the robes. he was like, he was talking about when you meditate. You meditate?
I try to.
It's fucking hard.
I'm not good at it,
dude,
but I try to. I couldn't call it meditating. I call it sitting and struggling.
Yes. Sitting down and battling this war in your head.
Trying to shut the hell up.
Yeah. Well, it is. It could be like Lollapalooza in your head. But he was talking about meditation. He was like, it requires effortless effort. And he's like, there's no real words for it, but you have to find this place where you are putting in effort and you're trying to meditate, but you're also not trying so hard that you're obsessing with it. Yeah. And it sounds like Jordan Stafford. It sounds like when he's performing, he clicks into that effortless effort.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you know, I think like, I know this is kind of cliche, but like, I think like one of the best compliments you could hear after an improv show is like, it seems like this was a well-written show.
Yes.
And that's the vibe, like, pretty much every single time I see that guy perform.
Yes.
It's like, I can't believe you improvised that, you know?
Have you ever met audience members that think there's plants?
Yes, for sure, yes.
That's it's like an insult and a compliment. I've dealt with hecklers where afterwards people will be like, all right, so like, you know that guy, and you told him to say it. It's like, no, I don't fucking, why would I want him to ruin all of the shit that I just wrote? But it is a testament to the magic of being a good performer.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in a sense, it's like it's not a plant, but you've seen this personality before 100 times.
Yes.
So they might think that they're tripping you up, but I've seen 100 of you, dude.
Have you been heckled in stand-up?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, plenty.
You know how there's like different types of hecklers? There's like the drunk heckler who doesn't know what's going on.
Yes.
Then there's the offended heckler who gets on stage and slaps someone.
Yes.
And then there's the I think I'm funnier than you.
Yes.
That person. That person's the worst.
The worst.
I think that like the drunk person, what are you gonna? You're on drugs.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? The person that's offended, that's an emotional. Like obviously, it's not appropriate to attack the comic, but like I can understand being like that hit me.
Yeah.
Comedy is harsh.
Yeah.
And then there's the helper heckler who thinks like I'm a part of the show.
Yeah.
And that has the most well intentions, but the I think I'm funnier than you guy. There's something about that irks me.
It's insulting.
Yeah.
It's like, then you fucking do it, bro.
Yeah.
You come up here and eat shit and find out. Fuck around and find out that this is hard as hell.
He's been doing this for years. Like, and they say the same. She was, well, my friends think I'm funny. I'm just not funny like on the spot. Like I could just be like.
The voice is perfect, by the way.
Thank you.
Douchebag number one.
Oh yeah, wearing a visor and one of the glasses with the rainbows. Got a Monster Energy drink. Yeah, bro. You know, like I'm like really fucking. Like I'm really funny, like with my friends, man. Like they think I'm hilarious. I got all these great stories.
And ultimately, they're just basic motherfuckers, you know. They think they're special. No, dude.
Not special.
I've literally met a million of you.
That's why I love artists, and to not be up our own asses here, there is something unique about a good artist. They have to be.
Yeah.
Like, you need to be able to look at the world from your own lens and translate that to everyone and have everyone be on the same page and get it, but not be able to word it the way you worded it.
Exactly.
And that's a hard balance to find.
Yes, I 100% agree.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to talk to you about is around. I think one of the things I struggled with, and another reason why I had to stop for a bit doing stand up, is for me at least, it felt like left to my own devices and without being a whole person, just the practice of doing stand up was making me the worst version of myself.
Ooh, I'm listening.
And this might just be a me thing. So so I'll describe some of the things I'm talking about. So like, the idea of thinking your own thoughts over and over again, not being so interested in other people's opinions. Every conversation is a potential commodity, that you can polish up and sell to strangers, the act of just like going up in front of strangers constantly. I found over time, like without having other stuff in my life, that it made me like a very narcissistic person, and I'm already pretty narcissistic, more narcissistic, and less empathetic. Is that something that you've also thought about?
1,000%. You have, yes. Like, I recently was working on all of this, and then I had my mushroom trip last Sunday, and now it's been kicked into high gear to turn that down. But no, I'm aggressively competitive. Did you see the so here we go. Did you watch things? Aaron doesn't read. Aaron doesn't go outside. He just sits and he fucking watches things. God damn it. Did you see The Last Dance?
I did see The Last Dance. Hey, we saw something together.
Dude, I watched that and I related to Michael Jordan in the most toxic way.
Yes.
I didn't relate to him in all of those moments where you're like, yeah, Michael Jordan. All the times where you're like, this guy's insane.
Sociopath.
Yeah. When he's playing quarters and he loses, you see anger.
Yeah.
I super competitive. And so one of the things I found myself doing was when I would get on when I would be at open mics or at shows, I'd be watching the other comic, and if they got a laugh, I'd be like, fuck. Fuck, man, fuck your, man. Yeah, I mean, it was a good joke, it was funny or whatever, but like, fuck you. It's not how I would do it. And then when they don't get a laugh, I'm like, yeah, fuck you. Yeah, you didn't get a laugh. I'm about to get a laugh, and you didn't get one, bitch. And it's like
Literally. Literally.
It's like that's not a healthy headspace to be in general.
Yeah.
And to make good art, you can't, especially stand up.
Yeah.
You can't be getting on stage treating it like a basketball game.
Yes.
It's not you versus anybody. It's just you expressing yourself. And so I've been working on that. Like the competition can be healthy in a driving sense, but it's not me versus anybody.
Exactly. We're all just trying to express ourselves.
Yes.
There's no competition,
And so there's that. That I related to that, and then there's the ego, I think, or narcissism. I would say there's been a sense of narcissism recently, and one of the things I love about stand up, and this is what I'll give stand up over improv, is it is far more humbling.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. Yes.
I got cocky, and I went to the Funny People, which is an open mic show thing. It's a black room, and I got cocky and I got high.
Oh yeah. Whoops.
I got aggressively high, and then I went up, and it's I know it was bad.
Yeah.
I know it wasn't good because I could see the host. I could see Leon Rogers just like, and then the next set I went to Laugh Therapy, which is another black mic, because I wanted to redeem that. And that I was going in cagey because of what happened and because of my headspace, and it didn't start off well. I turned it around, and at the end it was fine, but it was like, oh, okay, I gotta change something. I gotta adjust some shit because that wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
So that's a positive. I don't know if I answered.
No. I mean, I think you did touch on something else that I not to be up our own asses too much, but it's an artistic pursuit. Both of these things, improv and stand up, and I think like a firm belief that I have is just like you have to be willing and ready to fail. Yeah. And one of the things I love about the improv community is that it's a very conducive environment for failure, without judgment, and I can't say the same thing about like the stand-up world. And I'm not just talking about the audience. I'm talking about like that mindset you're talking about, like yourself being in. I've been there. A lot of those folks have been there, and that sucks, like. Because like we have to acknowledge that like a big part of like actually improvement is failure, that's just like the human experience, period. And so like just from like a like self-improvement point of view, and from like a place of like where can I express myself most freely, I think at my core, I'm always going to be an improviser first over a stand-up comedian, just because like it's despite its flaws, culturally speaking, like as we talked about before, it's a space where I feel like I can fail fully and feel like it's okay. I still have my friends here. They still love me.
They still love me.
Yeah.
The failure in improv does feel unifying. And it's like, well, we're all in this sinking ship together, and that I definitely see that. And I think, and then they go back to the stand-up, is I think that's what, with the whole culture aspect, in improv, you have to work with these other people. In stand-up, you can just say what it is. Yeah. And I do appreciate that. Yeah. I wrote down something else to add to the whole narcissism thing. Even my perception of failure has been narcissistic, where I've almost, because of how hard and aggressive my life has been where I came from, I've almost embraced failure to a narcissistic level where I'm like, yeah, I'm up here bombing. You couldn't do that. You couldn't stand up here and make an ass of yourself for 7 minutes. You losers. And it's like I've been really working on turning that down. And taking days off has been so
critical. Yeah.
Do you know? I had a phase. Those phases in your life where you look back and you're like, God damn, what the fuck was that? I had this phase where I was listening to a lot of David Goggins.
Yeah. Stay hard.
Stay hard. I was listening to a lot of David Goggins and Joe Rogan. This is oh boy, how do I word this? I think that the COVID and quarantine and Trump has kind of revealed a lot more of people.
Of course.
And there are things that I have taken from his podcast that I enjoy. I enjoy when he talks to comedians. I don't want to hear about shit with scientists and shit. Like, I don't. That's fine, do your thing, but I can't.
Yeah.
And David Goggins, when he was one of those guys, again, one of those people who is undeniably charismatic. Oh my God.
Entertaining too.
Very entertaining to listen to. And I do appreciate some of his philosophy.
Look, there's no doubt he's achieved incredible things.
Yes, he has absolutely done that. But at what cost of your humanity?
Yeah, of course. That's my thing. That's my number one thing. For people who don't know this dude, just a little bit of backstory about this dude. I think he worked like at a fast food restaurant and until he was like 20 something.
Yeah, fat fuck for a while too.
He weighed like 300 pounds or something like that. And then I don't know what happened. I think he like saw some commercial for the military or something. And then he just lost like, I don't know, 150 pounds in like a couple months or something crazy.
He's built like cement now.
Yeah, he's Yeah.
He's crazy.
And he makes these motivational videos, and he's walking like 50 miles a day or running or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
But my main takeaway is like, wow, this man can do incredible things. He's also unwell. He's so clearly unwell.
Yes. When I remember there was a point where this is around the David Goggins obsession I had. I was with my friends. We had a running competition because of him. So we had these little running meters, and we were comparing each whatever. And I would listen to him every day. Stay hard. No days off. And it's like, God, man, you're a human.
Yeah.
Take a day off. It's okay. Yeah. Eat some ice cream.
Yeah.
Sherbet's delicious. Fucking enjoy your life. Like that mentality is so inspirational, but horrifying.
Yeah, it's horrifying.
And I had a moment recently because my whole life has been work. Fucking America will just.
Yes, I was about to say David Goggins is the American dream for in one light, you know.
Oh yeah, I know. Conservative white people love this guy. Oh my God. Well, he's one of the good ones. You see, he's defending our country. Oh, he's not a pussy.
Yeah, like, he's finding he picked himself up from his bootstraps.
Yeah, he never cries. His tear ducts are glued shut because he's a man. It's like, fuck, guys. And I had a moment. So you seem to appreciate the arts.
Mm-hmm.
I love music, and I had never been to a concert that I wanted to go to.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been to other friends' concerts, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is cool. And then I went to see Saba. Do you know Saba?
I don't know Saba.
Oh man, I might send you some shit.
Okay.
He's a rapper, born and raised Chicago,
Hell
and I've been out here. I've been in Chicago for about 9 months now.
Got it.
And so I survived my first winter.
And congrats.
Yeah, thank you. And for my birthday, I never celebrated my birthday. And my friends who have been around me out here have been like, you need to celebrate yourself. You need to, Aaron, it's okay. It's okay. And I was like, fine. I'll appreciate myself or whatever. So I was like, I want to see Saba. That's what I want to do. And so my friends were encouraging, and I went to go see him. And they, one of them has like anxiety when it comes to crowds. So they went up to like the balcony area and just let me be alone in the crowd. And you ever go to a concert and it hits you in your heart. I was there. I was so present and happy. And I remember I think it was called the Back Home Tour. And he had this on. Do you have a car?
I don't have a car.
Okay, so you CTA as well.
Yeah.
So on the stage, he had a replica of a bus stop, a Chicago bus stop, the 91 bus, I think. Like the murky windows, and there's graffiti, and it's shady, and there's like a broken fire hydrant. It was so Chicago, and he played one of these. He played like one of these songs. Like a lot of his songs are about Chicago, and I felt like, oh, I'm home. I did it. I'm here. I am a part of Chicago.
Yes.
And it was me taking time for myself to just enjoy all of this. Yeah. And it is the polar opposite of David Goggins.
Yeah.
David Goggins would see me in the crowd crying and being like, you need to do some push-ups.
Get out of there now.
The fuck are you doing being happy?
But can you imagine him being in like a loving relationship? Maybe it's possible, but
he has a wife, I think.
Well, good for them.
She's very supportive.
Good for them, you know?
Yeah. And I think what the problem with his mentality is it doesn't allow for growth.
Yeah.
It is humanity. The same thing.
Yeah.
And that's, and I guess, and it's funny because I feel like we're being the pretentious artist shitting on this guy, but it's not that. It's like I love some of his thoughts, and then others I'm like, God damn, dude, do something else.
Yeah, productivity is just one aspect of humanity, you know.
Right.
And if that's your sole focus, I think ultimately you're gonna have like there's gonna be some sadness there, you know. I think what makes life worth living is human connection. You know, call me corny, but I think like if you're so fully obsessed on just like being a robot, essentially being a machine, you know, you're missing out on a whole lot of life. You know.
I agree. That's it's it's part of why I've been doing this podcast. I did it Do you know Bill Burr?
I do.
Okay. You listen to his podcast?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay. When I first came out here, I had that version because I didn't know anybody. And then as fall was coming, I moved out here last summer. And then as fall was hitting, it was starting to get a little cooler. And then winter was hitting. And then I had never felt loneliness like that.
Chicago will do that to you.
Yeah. Your first year,
it's sad.
You don't know anybody.
Yeah, it's tough.
And I was like, I need to talk to somebody. And so I made this because I was like, performers they'll talk to you if you give them the mic. And it's been eye-opening, and talking with people like you and Sage and other comics has been helpful with my own mental health.
That rocks.
Yeah.
Well, glad you're doing it.
Yeah. That feels like a good way to end. It's been about an hour. Man, I'm really glad that Sage suggested you come do
Thanks,
this.
man. Yeah, it's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Yeah.
You're a good dude.
Well, thanks. All right.